Go for it. When I was a very young girl growing up in Middle Tennessee, I was an honorary Boy Scout for a few years. My father was the den master of the local troop, and my older brother a regular merit badge earning machine. With my mom working the night shift at the local hospital, I tagged along on frequent troop trips to the Appalachian Mountains. While the young woodsmen would be practicing their knots, honing their compass skills, sharpening their knives, I was harvesting wild onions from nearby fields, plucking as many juicy white bulbs as I could stuff into my sweatshirt. Then I'd roast them carefully over the campfire and share my artisanal wild onion snacks with the boys. Last fall, I found my first wild oyster mushrooms when I was biking home from work. There on the damp fallen log was the majestic mushroom I'd been searching for. My first. I pedaled home, had it ID'd by an expert mushroom expert neighbor, and cooked them up with my housemate. That night sparked a growing giddy urge to go outside and find new edibles to identify. Before I knew it, I bought books, I had enrolled in workshops, I had recruited friends, all to help me learn more about foraging in this area. I soon realized the very soul-satisfying process favors patience and curiosity. So if that doesn't do it for you, why forage? Well, for food, for medicine, for friendship, for peace and quiet, for sanity. Dangers include poison ivy, ticks, chiggers, mosquito bites, getting sweaty and dirty. To me, foraging is just as much about capturing the magic of the seasonal ingredients as they pass, as actually just meandering through the woods, whether in solitude or with a friend or two. I'm inspired by the incredible biodiversity in this area, the wildness, the abundance, all right here. The knowledge of the resources that local plants offer, both in terms of food and medicine, serves to help people feel more connected to the land and other living things in our communities. We protect and care for what we value and feel connected to. A good forager knows what to pick and what to leave alone. This brings us to rules for safe, ethical, and sustainable foraging. Don't eat any food that grows near kept grass. There's just too much risk for chemicals. Don't eat anything from a roadside where pollution and dust gathers on plants. Don't forage in other people's yards without asking first. Hey, I noticed you have some wild grapes growing in your fence. Can I pick some or pay you for them? Don't take more than you can use. Save some for the other animals. Know the at-risk and endangered plants in your area and respect them. Don't eat edible wild plants based on these slides or in a book or on the internet. Get a qualified instructor to show you and have them eat it first before you eat it. So I found that kids really seem to enjoy searching for wild fruit. It's kind of a scavenger hunt, particularly after the rise in popularity of the Hunger Games. I noticed kids' interest in survival skills really spiked. So gathering food feels like a challenging game and connects them to the origins of food and basic ecology at the same time. Now, foraging with friends is a great way to spend long summer days, get exercise, learn more about ecosystems that we exist in. I call this the tour de Persimmons. Persimmon pudding is really the only way to close out a day like this. You can make so many incredible things with fresh, nutrient-dense, wild ingredients. My favorite is making mead because using only honey and water, you can preserve the fragrance and the flavors of passing seasonal fruits and flowers, such as wild grape or honeysuckle. It's easy to construct elaborate summer cocktails by infusing liquors with stuff you can find in your yard, like mimosa vodka, elderflower cordial, wild blackberry mint rum. Additional ingredients could include juniper honey, elderberry syrup, autumn olive syrup. The possibilities are colorful and endless. When I discovered I could make something like pink lemonade out of sumac berries, I made it all the time. I shared my delight with my father, who to my surprise, was able to recall making this when he was a Boy Scout. They called it staghorn tea. Now, 90% of wild food and about 3/4 of all farm food depends on wild pollinators for production. So it's relevant to mention that a study put out just last Friday claimed that wild pollinators, primarily wild bees, perform more than twice as effectively as managed honeybees. Our pollinators in the Piedmont include bees, butterflies, moths, flies, beetles, even hummingbirds. These wild pollination systems are incredibly robust, yet the system's also incredibly compromised, and we have yet to see so many of the serious impacts. When crop yields go down, whether wild or cultivated, it's not just our diets that become harder to sustain, but the pressure is felt collectively throughout all forms of life. It's important that we do all we can to support these ecosystems for the current and future generations. You can help wild pollinators thrive by avoiding pesticide use and associated products, by building nesting sites for wild bees, by planting a pollinator garden, and through preserving wild areas. That way, the only limiting factors for future generations who want to enjoy the abundance of wild foods is the time, knowledge, and patience to find them.